good evening, and thank you very much for your kind welcome and hospitality. I think it would be fair to say that our marriage has been sustained by Greek hospitality from the time of our honeymoon on Paxos through many, many visits to Greece. And also my ministry as an Anglican priest has certainly been mightily supported by Orthodox theology and friendship, and have had the privilege of going to Mt Athos as a pilgrim for the last dozen years or so. So why should an Anglican priest make a regular pilgrimage to Mt Athos each year in Lent? Well, partly because in Anglican tradition, an annual retreat is an expected part of a priest's life and ministry, indispensable in my experience. But also because the renewal of Mt Athos in our time is of the utmost spiritual significance for the whole Christian church. Indeed, its renewal has to be seen in a wider context, the widespread renewal of monastic life across Greece. For example, the large women's monastery at Ormelia in Halkidiki, which is an outpost of Simonas Petra. We could also place the renewal of Mt Athos in the context of the renewal of monastic life more widely in Russia, Egypt, America, and in parts of Europe. In these monasteries today, young and well-educated young people and others commit their lives to the service and worship of God, and in this they have wide support from among the laity from whom they come. There is another reason for taking a keen and encouraging interest in Mt Athos. It is important that its life and witness is properly understood and appreciated in the West. This is one of the reasons for the work of the Friends of Mt Athos. And visiting Mt Athos certainly leads to many interesting encounters with Christians from across southeastern Europe and from Russia, Ukraine, as elsewhere. Simonas Petra also has close links with Christians in Syria and Lebanon. The economic suffering of these regions is known, of course, but not always well known and understood in the West. And the pastoral work of these monasteries on Athos and across Greece is now of decisive importance to many people who are enduring the austerity and poverty caused by the current ongoing economic crisis. Finally, I think it's important that Athonite monks sense the support and prayers of Western Christians. The presence of Russian influence on the Holy Mountain is strong and can be overbearing, and it has caused difficulties in the past. Mt Athos is a truly ecumenical environment, and this breadth of spirit needs to be sustained and encouraged. I normally go to the Holy Mountain at the end of March, in spring is just beginning. And the centrality of the presence of Christ, whose name is being invoked so sincerely and sensitively, is the first thing that always strikes me when I share in an Athonite service. The private recitation of the Jesus Prayer is the hidden counterpoint to the corporate chanting of the divine offices. It is also the hidden bond of love between all the participants during the long hours of worship. I use the word sensitivity deliberately because that is what often comes across from individual monks. Their kindness and generosity of spirit springs from their sensitivity to the presence of Christ in their guests. This is the true grace of monastic life, Eastern and Western, for as St. Benedict said in his rule, let a guest be welcomed as if he were Christ himself. The ability of these great monasteries to make a stranger from another part of the Christian church so welcome and at home over so many years is a gracious gift and witness indeed. I remember, for example, strongly, the overwhelming sense of the presence of Christ in the pre-sanctified gifts at a solemn Lenten celebration at Simonas Petra, even though as an Anglican priest I was not an active recipient. Now, by training and temperament, I'm a church historian, and I've been fortunate to have had the time and opportunity to study deeply and to travel widely in Europe and elsewhere, including visits to many monasteries. And the historical significance of the Holy Mountain is, of course, immense, as Graham Speke has demonstrated in his two masterly studies. And to be plunged into the rich treasury of Vatopedi, for example, is a unique experience, as it is to worship there in the church that is 1,000 years old, complete with so many of its original decorations. The monastic tradition is one of the most abiding threads that unite the church across the century. And the renewal of Mt Athos, and for that matter of monasteries in Egypt and Russia as well, is a striking sign of this spiritual reality, as well as a rebuff to the apparently inexorable progress of Western secularism. What is palpable while being a pilgrim on the Holy Mountain is the transformation of the sense of time. It is not just that the past is so manifestly the foundation of the present there. It is that time is revealed in its proper perspective as the narthex of eternity. Time spent on Athos is an engagement with the inner structure of reality. It is this that changes people, probably for the most part quite unself-consciously. The phrase from the Western Apostles' Creed, Communio Sanctorum, takes on its full and original meaning, the communion of holy people, of holy places, of holy things, within the koinonia, or communion, that flows from the inner life of God, the Trinity. The great silence of Athos, as well as its beauty, establishes a true sense of the words with which the Bible opens and closes. God saw that it was very good, and behold, I am making all things new. This transformation of vision is an abiding one because it steals up unawares, and all that is required of the pilgrim is a clear mind and an open and prayerful heart,